Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you will be doing good. Today we are going to study chemistry. It's the lecture from the month of April. It's the last lecture that we had to cover in the same month. The chapter which we are going to study today is the oceans. It's chapter number 11.04, page number 194 to 195 from your textbook. The topics which we are going to cover in this chapter today are the oceans, a vast lecture, the oceans in balance, materials and materials are the oceans, and carbon dioxide, and can the ocean solve the problem of global warming. Okay, so what are oceans? An ocean is a body of water that composes much of Earth's hydrosphere, and a hydrosphere is the total amount of water on a planet. The hydrosphere includes water that is on the surface of the planet, underground, and in the air. A planet's hydrosphere can be liquid, vapor, or ice. On Earth, liquid water exists on the surface in the form of oceans, lakes, and rivers. Let's move towards our first topic, the ocean's vast solution. So when the Earth's atmosphere, early atmosphere cooled below 100 degrees centigrade, the water vapor changed from a gas or vapor to a liquid. It began to rain and rained for centuries. Rain poured down the hot rocks, carrying eroded material into the hollows. It was the start of the oceans. Today, the oceans are like a vast solution, covering over 70% of the Earth. One expert estimates that they contain over 50 million billion tons of dissolved material. They probably contain every known element, but about 85% of the dissolved material is sodium chloride ions. What are they trying to say? That the oceans are vast solution. They are in larger quantities. Million years ago, when the earth was really heated and warmed, and when the temperature of the atmosphere dropped below 100 degrees centigrade, all the steam that was the atmosphere, all the vapors, they condensed and started to fall down. It started to rain. When the rain started to pour over the hot rocks and hard materials, it took down with it all of the scrapped materials, it dissolved all the materials that were like on the surface of it. You see, when you pour water over hot rocks, or you take a piece of huge chunk of salt, when you heat it and when you pour water over it, what will happen? The pores will be open, and it will dissolve all the water. And the water, in the same way, water will get absorbed into the material surface, and that was the start of formation of ocean. This is how they are huge solution and covers 75% of Earth, and according to one expert, they contain over 15 million billion tons of dissolved materials. They probably contain every known element. About 85% of our ocean, the dissolved materials, are sodium chloride ions, which is why the seawater tastes salty, because it contains salts. The rest is mainly magnesium, sulfate, calcium, and potassium ions. Here you can see the table in which you can see the amounts of ions dissolved in ocean water in grams. When you take out 1 kilogram of the ocean water, let's assume that you went to seaside, and you took 1 kilogram of the seawater in a bucket, and send it to the laboratory for analysis, and you will get the report like this, which is appearing on your screen right now. You will see that in 1 kilogram of the ocean water, it contains 19.2 grams of chloride ions, 10.7 grams of the sodium ions, 2.7 grams of the sulfate ions, 1.4 grams of the magnesium ions, 0.4 grams of the calcium ions, 0.38 grams of the potassium ions, and 0.14 grams of the hydrogen carbonate ions, and 0.07 grams of the bromide ions. These are the ions or the minerals that are present inside the seawater. The oceans in balance. It is estimated that 4 billion tons of dissolved materials are carried into the ocean each year by the flow of rivers. But the oceans remain in balance because other processes remove dissolved materials. These processes include evaporation processes, like evaporation of isolated bodies of seawater accounts for removal of large amount of salt from the ocean. These minerals represent dissolved salts that have been removed from the seawater by evaporation and are mined from table salt and other uses. Here you can see the picture. In this, you can see that the river carried out some materials in and some out. So we'll discuss it in these slides. Okay, river carry and dissolve substances from the weathering of rocks, and weathering of rocks describe the process of weakening and breaking down of rocks and minerals. Okay, so river carries and dissolve substances from the weathering of rocks, for example, calcium ions, and some carbon dioxide dissolve in water. How some carbon dioxide dissolve in seawater? The ocean takes up carbon dioxide through photosynthesis that is performed by the plants-like organism called phytoplanktons. Okay, materials out. Phytoplanktons use the carbon dioxide in the surface water for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere present on the surface of the water, which is used by the phytoplanktons in order to perform photosynthesis. And other sea creatures, they obtain carbon from the feeding of phytoplanktons. They extract calcium ions from the water and produce their calcium carbonate, which is necessary for their shells and skeleton. For example, bivalves, these are large class of mollusks. They have hard calcareous shell in order to protect them against the large sea creatures such as fishes and whales, etc. So other ions get extracted too. For example, iodide ions by seaweeds and water seaweeds. Just to recall your concept, seaweeds or sea vegetables are a form of algae that grow in the sea. They are a food source for ocean life and a range in color from red to green to brown to black. Seaweeds grows along the rocky shorelines around the world, but it's most commonly eaten in Asian countries such as Japan, Korea, and in China. I have told you people in our biology chapter in which we studied food webs and food chains. It was just a recap. Okay. So let's move further. In the time, sea creatures, when they die off and fall to the bottom of the oceans, over millions of the years, the soft remains of some dead things turns into the fossil and fuels like oil and gases, and some ions react together to form insoluble compounds. For example, calcium and carbonate ions form a deposit of calcium carbonates on the ocean floor. The oceans and carbon dioxide. The ocean plays an important role in keeping the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in balance. Rain removed much of the carbon dioxide from the early atmosphere, carrying it to the oceans as carbonic acid, and the ocean continued to dissolve carbon dioxide. Some is used for photosynthesis and will eventually be locked up in limestones, oil, and gases. Okay, some amount of the carbon dioxide. So, first of all, I have to tell you that what is limestone. So, limestones are basically carbonate sedimentary rocks. These are the hard rocks, consist of the carbonate, calcium carbonate. All right, so what happens? The ocean continue to dissolve carbon dioxide, and some carbon dioxide is used for the photosynthesis by the phytoplanktons, and some is locked up by limestones, oil, and gases. The rest reacts to produce insoluble carbonates such as calcium carbonate and soluble hydrogen carbonate ions. Then, can the ocean solve the problem of global warming? What is global warming? It is the ongoing rise of the average temperature of the Earth's system. or climate. Okay, the ocean already contain a huge amount of dissolved carbon dioxide, about 40,000 billion tons of it, right? So there's an equilibrium, means there's a balance is present between the amount already dissolved and the amount which is present in the air. Because of this, they can dissolve some of the extra carbon dioxide that is produced by the burning of fossil fuels, but they can never dissolve all of it. So some scientists are seeking other way to get carbon dioxide into the oceans, for example, by pumping liquid carbon dioxide down to the ocean floors, or they have even tried adding iron to the oceans as fertilizers for the phytoplanktons to encourage more photosynthesis. Um, Other scientists disapprove since there could be long-term harmful effects on the marine environment. So I hope you guys would have understand this lecture. You guys must have got understood my lecture. So it's time to write answers of the questions. Question number one is why the ocean water is salty. Number two, draw a diagram to show the balance in ocean. Question number three, what are phytoplanktons? Question number four, how do we get fossil fuels from the oceans? Question number five is what role does ocean play for keeping atmosphere carbon dioxide in balance? And question number six is how can ocean solve global warming problem? Thanks for your attention and patience. I wish you all the best. Mimi Sobia Yusuf signing off. Allah Hafiz.